Welcome to the most unrelatable podcast you will ever listen to. I want to warn you right now, that this is going to be completely unrelatable to you unless you're already in a position where you consider yourself an ultra high performer. Like, I am going to share with you details of the depth of how I operate my existence and the levels that I have reached, that unless it's relatable to you, you're not going to like it. You're going to be like, this is too over the top. This is too much. I can't even relate to this guy anymore. He's just so crazy. It's too crazy. Then I should tell you right now, turn this podcast off. Delete this one from your entire system and forget that it ever existed. But if you are cut from the cloth of trying to perpetually evolve into your limitless potential and you want to quantify your existence because you know that you can reach an unprecedented version of yourself that you will be in absolute all of every single day, then you should listen to this episode for sure. Welcome to Build with Rob. Very, very special episode today. A very unusual episode. And again, I'm putting this warning out. If you got through the intro there and you are still here, just be warned that none of this is going to be relatable. And why I say that it's unrelatable is I really want to share with you what has happened to me over the last few months and sort of the evolution that has occurred in my life that ultimately changed me as a human being. And I want to share it through the lens of the success that I've had, the way that I have tracked and optimized my life to a point that it has changed me completely. And I think about the times when I have looked back and watched different content of different super high performers, whether it was Kobe Bryant or Tom Brady or, just different people that had this commitment that I just couldn't connect with, that I would always say like, man, this is just unrealistic. Like, that's cool for them. And hey, that's they're dedicating their whole life to it. But that's just not something I could do, and for me, this is going to be that type of episode for anybody listening. So if you don't want to hear a bunch of numbers, a bunch of theory on how I have evolved to such a state that I can't even believe this is real life, you may want to step away right now. But for those of you that are ready to go on a journey, what I really want to share with you is sort of, this idea of how my entire life changed, right? 82 days ago, I finally transitioned to a place where discipline was going to be a instrumental core piece of my entire existence, to where there was no such thing as days off. There was no way of living any longer that wasn't at the highest discipline, highest balanced, highest output, highest productive. Every last aspect of that happened to me 82 days ago. And at that point, I made the decision of like, man, I don't even believe that I am will ever drink or eat bad or not work out or never meditate or not brain train or never get up at 5. I don't think I will ever not do any of these ever again in my entire life. And not from I gotta try harder and I gotta be more disciplined. I just changed as a human being. The psychology of who I am and what I have become has completely shifted. And I've been explaining it to people as like, I think I hit rock bottom. I think I have hit the same thing psychologically that drug addicts and different people that are going through addictions go through when they hit rock bottom. which is essentially like, in rock bottom, you think about someone who's highly addicted, that they keep trying to change. They know they got to change, but life pulls them back and something happens and they're triggered and they're back to using again. And then they go on spurts of being sober for a while, and then something happens and they get pulled back into it. It's the same as that. And here's where we get extra unrelatable, but it's on the other side. And I'm referring to it as peak top, where I have been growing more and more disciplined, more and more focused, achieving more, having a better foundation, getting more optimized, being harmonious, being more efficient. Like, just my overall life had finally grown to a place where I could not imagine ever not living at the highest level of discipline ever again. Because up until that point, it was sort of how I lived. I was really disciplined, but I would still, enjoy night out with the friends, and still have pizzas, and have cake with the kids, and all of these different sort of things that were in a cadence of what I'd consider a decently, a really healthy person, that were in most people's minds, well, what? It's no big deal to have a donut. You're all healthy and all this stuff. So what? You have a couple glasses of wine with some friends, and to me, I really realized that, man, when I go on these deep streaks of being super clear with my diet and super disciplined on what I eat and what I put in my body, and then say super consistent with how I take care of myself, I meditate, I get in the sauna, get in the gym, all of this stuff, combined with how clear I am in my life vision, my goals, and how I've attained and reached so many of the goals that were built around giving me more security, giving me back more time, allowing me to be more balanced. When you look at sort of the mental energy and physical energy together, when you combine both of those, and each of them are being operated at this highly optimal, very pure state, it creates this extraordinary feeling, this high level of energy I call the magnetic energy, that is a feeling that I never, ever want to step away from. And it just sort of hit me 82 days ago of like, why would you even ever compromise feeling like this ever again? And then I began the journey of like, changing my entire identity, right? And it wasn't like I'm in the, the difference of it is like, I didn't like make a decision all of a sudden, like, how hard it is when you choose to do something that's difficult, like discipline. Like you really, really, you have to make the effort to do it. And I talk so much about how, when you design something to make your life better, you've got to, create the consistency and the discipline to do it. And eventually it turns into a habit, which eventually it turns into an intuitive way of being, or just who you are, and begins to find its way into your subconscious, to where it is just how you operate without even thinking. And I would equate what has happened to me in a very similar sort of way, where over time I just got more and more disciplined, more and more balanced, and then eventually broke through to this place that I can't ever imagine leaving. And it has just driven me to a level that I did not know was possible, as it's related to the human experience. And the beauty of it is, I like to refer to it as quantified joy, because it's not just like, oh, I'm disciplined and I'm taking care of myself and I feel better than ever. It is in the numbers, the quality of life that I have, the qualitative data that I've collected over the years that is now at this highest level it's ever been. It is my sleep data. It is all of these core numbers that I have collected over the years, it's seeing them at this sustained highest levels that they have ever been at, ever. And for me, it's this super unusual experience, because when you get up into that level, it changes the way that you grow. When you get up to that level, it changes the way that you actually grow and evolve. It turns into this almost like hyper velocity growth, where even your ability to get better on a daily basis completely changes. Because you got to think about, when you think about getting better, if my entire sort of concept here is that you are the machine. Your existence is this beautiful machine made up of all these systems, and you are the programmer of all these systems and the operator of all these systems, and you get to create, operate, and integrate these into you as a being, and the output is your life. And by getting better and better and better at designing and optimizing and evolving these all together to make up your entire life, that is how you create an extraordinary life. Even getting better on a daily basis, when you think about it, seems impossible. It just seems impossible, because it's easy to say, well, I could get better on a yearly basis. I could do that for 100%. Everybody could commit to that. Then it's like, well, could I get better on a monthly basis? Well, for sure. Every 30 days, for sure, I could make myself better. Weekly basis, I think for sure I could add some things to my life that can make me better on a weekly basis. I would have said, 4 months ago, it's impossible to truly get better in all aspects of life every single day. It's not possible. And today, in the most unrelatable podcast you have ever heard in your life, I am telling you that on a daily basis, I am getting better in all aspects of life. And in 90 days, it has compounded to change everything about who I am and what I think is possible on who I could become. And to me, I'd like to first start with sort of how I, the data that I have collected that are sort of the proof of what has evolved and got me here in the first place. And believe it or not, in all of these years of collecting data, specifically each day, did I get up at 5 a.m.? Did I brain train? Did I meditate? Did I work out? Did I eat clean? Did I not drink? Did I take supplements, right? Of that core 7, this month is the very first month of collecting data where I did it 100% every single day. Every single day. And that's, years and years of, collecting and tracking the different things that I know are important as it's related to my health, right? And because what happened to me was what I saw when I started collecting the data on a daily basis and seeing how when I was more consistent with doing those sort of core things that are health related, that it always drove up my qualitative numbers, right? And how I feel about my life, work, and health. And so by gamifying it and seeing those numbers, it drove me back then to like, man, look how important it is to commit to your health, because it truly ends up affecting how you actually feel about your life, right? And so I really had that eye-opening experience in 2020 when I first saw the data, and then 2021 is when I really made the commitment to getting much more consistent with that, which drove up my numbers, right? And so if you can imagine, and if I've been collecting this data since 2015, that there were, years where I averaged like a 16, right? And that's when I would like rate how I felt 0 to 10 about my health, 0 to 10 about my life, 0 to 10 about my wealth, my health. And together that was a combined number that I would look at that is the quality of my life. And every year it got incrementally better. And in the beginning, I wouldn't even collect the whole year. I did it for 5 years before I collected every single day in 2020. And again, it's that idea of like, look, like I didn't just get disciplined. I didn't just all of a sudden like, I'm so focused that like I'm doing what you could never do because I just have the ambition and the motivation and all this. It doesn't work like that. I had to grow into this level over many, many years. And it's so important for me to continue to reiterate that, especially for all the high performers that have stuck around to listen to this, that it is quantifying your continual growth, giving you the flexibility and freedom, knowing that your goal is to get to a place where your quality of life is higher every year and where your discipline is more consistent every year for the rest of your life until you hit peak top and you break through to where it's no longer something that you're even considering about how to be more consistent. It's now just completely who you are. And so think about this. So if I was, collecting those three numbers, and for years it was like, one year it was like 14.5 average, and then 16, and then in like 2019, it was 17.2. By the time I got to 2020, which I thought was like one of the greatest years of my life, both spiritually, from a balanced perspective, from a harmonious, high-quality existence, from the success that I had despite the pandemic, how disciplined I was, how I started tracking all my time, and how I started, finally committing to the data and really developing sort of my philosophy that is the machine mindset. I averaged an 18.4 that year. In 2021, when I discovered like, wow, look at that. If you commit to health, look at what you're able to do on the qualitative side. And then boom, I committed to the health. I did my health stuff 80% of the time, and my qualitative number went all the way up to 20.7 for the year. I continued the same run in 2022, as you've heard me talk over the previous year, and I had the exact same number. I averaged a 20.7. And at the end of the year, 82 days ago, when I shifted into this sort of place of like, why? Like, why would you just not do this all the time? Why would this not, why would you even like consider putting something in your body that doesn't lead towards you having another amazing day and being that much clearer and being that much more present, having that much more mind share, getting that much better of sleep, being that much more excited to work on all the projects? Why would you even do anything that does some sort of effect to slow that down? And that shift led to this first perfect month of January, which led to the single highest qualitative average month that I've ever had since I've been doing it at a 22.5. And to me, when I look at that, it's like, man, that I am quantifying like that this gradual, continual consistency of getting more and more disciplined over the years, and then eventually getting to a place that discipline turned to great habit and eventually broke through and became this entirely way of being, is now being shown in this qualitative number. That 22.5 is at the depth of the happiest month I've ever had since I've been collecting data since 2015. And so, I don't need to be more motivated. I'm not trying to be more disciplined. I'm not doing that with any effort. The systems and the way that I approached my entire way of being and looking at life, of continually building a life that you're in a consistent state of creating and recreating and making better and making more easier and making everything have higher outputs with less effort. Like, it's this natural, beautiful state joy that I'm in on a consistent basis that is seen in the numbers. And it's overwhelming. Like I get up like some mornings at 3:30 in the morning and just pop straight to work and have all this fun stuff that I'm working on. And like, I just sit there, even though my cat just took a dump on my rug and I got to stop everything because this cat had the audacity to dump in front of me on my rug and I got to stop and work to clean it up. I think to myself, man, what a life. Look at this. Like, you're not like, how did this cat end up getting into this position? But like every bit of the human experience is more vivid and enjoyable all the way down to a cat dump, and for me, when you start thinking about like, okay, your all of these components that make up you, the machine, and your time and energy are these sort of core pieces that make up the quality of your life. Then I go back to I've done this from a balanced place the entire time. And all I did was get better and better at understanding what balanced meant to me and eventually realizing that like, hey, it's not even about balance. Your mind is balanced, but it is that harmonious existence, meaning everything in your life is fully integrated together and operating and growing together in the same fashion is to me what makes it like so special at this level that it has evolved to. Because you got to think like even when you look at the time tracking and when I started tracking all of my time to understand what like where I'm putting all of my hours into, so I could really begin to optimize it through percentages and seeing how I'm spending it. I still did that from a highly like purposefully designed balanced state. When I talk about the rhythm of existence and this idea that you need to look at time as your canvas and design it in a way that you're able to do all the things that you want to do so you don't get caught, doing all the things you have to do and never having time to do the things that you want to, but looking at it in the opposite way through this time design. Even the life that I have lived for the last 5+ years has been this highly balanced, high output existence already. But what I'm experiencing and talking about today is this complete other level. It's another level of experience that I didn't know existed. The whole time I was having the time of my life, enjoying the ride of creating this life that I have been continually making better, that I live today. And even when you look at the comparison of the time to the work data, or the qualitative work data, in 2020, I worked 34% of my time. And for the year average of how I rated it a 6.5. Okay, 34% of my time and rated it a 6.5. In 2021, when I really focused on health and began to optimize for being more balanced, I worked 30%. So I worked less for the year, and then the qualitative number went up to 7.5. So now I'm working less and enjoying it more. And so for me, again, I know what it was like to live it and enjoy it, and the entire time I have loved and enjoyed all aspects of my life. Only this is, again, where it's unrelatable, and you should turn it off now. If you've just had enough of all these numbers, you should just turn it off now. But the fact that I was able to reduce the amount of time that I would work while driving up the qualitative side of it and enjoying it more blows my mind. It blows my mind. And I reflect on it and know that's what it felt like. And I can feel my whole existence getting better and better. But seeing it in the numbers just makes it that much more rewarding and motivating, and drives an even further belief in me of what the power of quantifying so many aspects of your life can lead you to this very high state of joy, And so now if you go to 2022, I worked 26% of the time. And my qualitative score was a 7.6. So I did not, drive it up substantially, but I figured out how to get even more optimized with the amount of time that I worked, right? So I'm still at the highest level, highest of any of the years that I've collected it, and now have this understanding of like, okay, this is actually this really, really comfortable rhythm for you to get up early, do work, have a handful of set meetings, create flexibility in your timelines to do adaptive meetings and different ad hoc things. But when you look at the cadence of what you want to do and where you are the most productive and where you enjoy life the most is in that that percentage of 26. That is this beautiful understanding of me and like the way that I want to work. And so then what do I have in this very first month of the 100% month? That's the highest qualitative data of my life. Well, how much did I work in January? 26%, 26%. And the qualitative number for the month of January was my highest average month since I've been collecting the data, at 8.1. The first time I'd ever averaged over an 8. So again, I'm pushing back to this idea of, quantified joy, quantified happiness. Like I am using the qualitative. How do I feel? I'm designing my time and my life in a way that's been optimized and getting better and better and better. And then I can see in the numbers, like the amount of joy that and happiness qualitatively that I'm feeling both in work and in life and in health. That's the thing for me that that I want to implore, and why having these data sets for people to understand what you can optimize against, and that it's a long game. And that the goal is to just get better and better and better and better. And you would think, well, maybe he's sacrificing something in here, and to me, I'm not. Well, maybe you're sleeping less if you're getting up at 3:30. Well, I'm not sleeping less. I'm actually sleeping more, because by the grace of God, and how the universe works, my wife started doing calls at 4:30 and 5 in the morning. So she started getting tired at 8:30, which like, hey, let's get to bed. And if we're going to get to bed, yes, I reduce a percentage of time that I spend with my wife, and you can see that in the numbers, but we were watching TV. I actually got rid of 2% of television watching and 2% of my life of watching television to gain back 2% in the mornings to work because my wife now got up earlier, and we could reduce that hour, which just lended to my productivity and my overall fulfillment and happiness, because now I'm executing at a higher level, getting up early. I would track if I got up at 5, of the month of January. I got up of those 31 days, obviously all those at 5 a.m. because I track it, but 22 of those days I got up at 4, and 8 of those days I got up at 3:30. And I know, and look, unrelatable. Hey, unrelatable. Unrelatable, because it's like too extreme. It's too extreme. But man, imagine what I'm saying. You're now getting all of this extra time to execute, but it's not disrupting the rhythm of your life. You're still spending extra time in the afternoons with your family and wife, and staying super balanced and giving yourself plenty of time to be reflective and continue to grow. And you're getting up at 3:30, but you're still getting 7.5 hours of sleep a night on average. And then when you go to the data, I have tracked the sleep score now for a year and a half, and it is an 8.8 average sleep score for January. It is the highest quality of sleep that I have ever had in a single month. And again, what's happening here? Like, how does even something like this, how do you even get to this place? And to me, like, the beauty of breaking through and then seeing all of this in sort of this, measurable sort of component, it's what, has me in this absolute, like, wow, like, this is a level of experience that I never thought was possible, but it is now done with absolute ease and effortlessness. Like, I'm not trying to be disciplined. I'm not trying to do any of this. Like, this is now, like, who I am and what I do, and it is absolutely effortless because I designed the systems that integrate into the systems that integrate into the system of life and continually optimized it around my time, energy, and mind share, was mindful of my capacity, and then got to a place where operating at this level, feeling this amazing, is how my machine existence operates without me even trying. That's what makes it so fascinating to me, which makes it so special to me, which just motivates me even further to create the tools and create the content to even share the idea of what's possible. Because I know if I did this, like going from highs and lows and partying all the time and like never saving money and being like, thinking I would work my way to happiness, like, and one big thing was going to change me, rather than building from a place from a harmonious state and then growing into my ideal self, then growing beyond that into something and someone that I didn't even know was possible to become. And anybody can do it. Unless you think this is totally unrelatable and there's no chance and this guy's been ranting for 30 minutes and I don't even understand any of the words. You should have turned it off at minute 1. I warned you. And look, what I'd like to share in the second half of what I would like to call the most unrelatable podcast ever recorded is what happens on the other side of you becoming not only the ideal version of yourself, but then a version of yourself that you didn't even know was possible to exist. And that really is about your ability to continually get better and better and better at all aspects of your life on a continuing, ongoing basis. There you have it, man. Just ranting. The most unrelatable content that some people may have ever heard of. And guess what? That's just part one. Believe it or not, that I have an entire second half of this show that I'm ready to hit you with. More unrelatable content. So tune in, get ready for next week where you are going to get the second half of what it really means to hit peak top, because I get into much deeper levels of optimization that I have been able to do since I have reached this level. So again, thank you everyone who tunes in and listens, especially everybody that stuck around for this one. This is for the chosen few who understand it and believe in it and have the vision, willing to do the work, willing to put in the plan. Until next time, see it, believe it, do it.